Afshin Rattansi is one of the finest broadcasters on television anywhere in the world today. We used to see a lot of him, can't at the moment, thanks to sanctions that have been imposed upon him. But he'll be back. He's going to outlast those who banned him, those who accused him. He is still the host of one of the best shows anywhere going underground, and I'm glad to say he joins us tonight on the mother of all talk shows. Afshin, welcome. Oh, I love that jacket. I want that jacket, Afshin, as soon as it's able to fit me.
It's vaguely optimistic, vaguely hopeful.
I'm on a diet, so maybe by around May month I'll fit it, in which case I hope you'll lend it to your good friend. Afshin, these are extraordinary times, and quite nearby where you are, an extraordinary summit took place just the other day. What's your take on it all?
I'm wearing the jacket because I recorded 2 shows just now, so I'm still in this get-up because of that. And people should watch Going Underground on Saturday and Monday, because we've got the Sarah Wagon Connect foreign affairs person. She's giving her take, and Ron Paul, who Elon Musk wants to head the Fed. But of course, it's all about what's been happening in Saudi Arabia. I haven't actually been sanctioned, I should say, George. And I don't think now I can be sanctioned. I just had to leave the country of my birth because they wouldn't allow me to do what I wanted to do, is to be a journalist. Although now you at Moats and me are Going Underground, and I don't know, so many different outlets that were courageous enough to challenge the propaganda narrative. We're really American, aren't we? We're pro-American. They're going to have to get their their heads around this fact that I actually said to the Sarah Wagen Connect, considered left-wing party in Germany contesting Sunday's Bundestag elections, you're the pro-American party. And I think some people are finding it difficult to, in their heads, understand that if you wanted peace and not World War III, you've now become a supporter of Washington policy. It's very difficult, isn't it, to even understand it, that all our lives, growing up in Britain, thinking of all those troops at all those US military bases that one saw as trying to prevent real democracy in our home country of Britain, because the threat was always there. They couldn't nationalize things. They couldn't democratize things in Britain because of the effect of Washington policy. If you lived in Italy, there'd be Operation Gladio. However, so many covert operations by the United States. And here we are now, hopefully thinking about real detente and Moscow and Washington united. And ironically, it was actually the elites of Europe, Western Europe. They were the enemy, not the Americans, not the Russians. It was just elite power in London and in Paris and Brussels and a newly unified Berlin. Who would have thought they were the enemy?
It is astounding. I'm going to make a prediction to you. You and I will be working together in the United States of America. It will be the safest place for us to work. It will be the freest place for us to work. Mark my words on that. And I'll be wearing your jacket. But the substance,
and I should say, you've got to change the theme. You've got to change the theme song. You've got to change the theme song to Moats to the Star Spangled Banner, obviously.
I'm ready. I'm ready. In exchange for a green card, I'm ready. Now, Afshin, the substance of what was being discussed, we weren't there, we don't know, we're not party to either side of the negotiations, but it is fairly well leaked by authoritative people that the timetable they have in mind is a ceasefire followed by elections, followed by negotiations, with the ceasefire line being exactly as it is on the day that that ceasefire is called. Lavrov has made clear what the Russian negotiating position will be. That is to say that all of the Russian-speaking, ethnically Russian parts of Ukraine will be part of Novorossiya, the new Russia, perhaps vindicated or otherwise by referenda in all of these liberated areas, that Zelenskyy must have a presidential election for a whole raft of reasons, not the least of which is he's no longer the president. And if Donald Trump is to be believed, he doesn't stand much of a chance of re-election. So ipso facto, a new government in Kiev, which must agree as part of Russia's demands to be an entirely neutral country, not a part of any alliance or any pact. That means no EU, it means no NATO, and that by definition, it's going to have to be prepared to get along with all of its neighbors, including its most influential one, that of Russia next door. Is that how you see the end of these negotiations, or at least the beginning of them?
I mean, Russia has won what it sought out to do. Those areas that were independent in the east of Ukraine will no longer be persecuted and bombed by the Nazis of Ukraine and so on. But actually, this story is changing, isn't it, minute by minute, because Trump's Truth Social post in the past hour or so, which was then retweeted by J.D. Vance, the vice president, who, of course, excoriated Europe for not having free speech, therefore no real democracy. And I should actually just say, it's weird in England. People are saying, Churchill, he didn't have elections during the Second World War. I didn't listen to your monologue. Perhaps you might have touched on it. Churchill didn't ban the opposition Labour Party when there was a unity government in Britain during the war. Yes, elections were postponed in Britain, but he didn't ban the opposition Labour Party, or he didn't ban all publications of anything in opposition to the war effort, as far as I understand it. So there's no comparison there with dictator Zelenskyy, as Trump has put on his Truth Social post. And we've got to remember that he's being fed information now by Lieutenant Colonel Tulsi Gabbard. That's why we're starting to understand he's getting some information now from his Director of National Intelligence. And we mustn't forget she is on a death list from Ukrainians. And as part of the things you itemize there, it's now emerged that Elon Musk, the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, who has been threatened on his own platform by Ukrainian activists. I know there are death lists on servers, perhaps in Virginia. I think you're on it, George, for opposing the Nazis of Ukraine. It seems that Elon Musk has just put out on his platform that he will be auditing the money sent by the American Treasury, the American people, to Zelenskyy in the first place. So that's going to be part of it. But of course, what should be part of it, and Vladimir Putin presumably is aware of this, something could happen to Donald Trump at any moment. There have been assassination attempts already. He's been shot at. This could change on a dime. So there have to be structures there that if Donald Trump is assassinated, if members of his team are, that there are structures there to ensure the process continues regardless of him. And there has to be some Nuremberg-style trials. I mean, surely Macron, Scholz, Starmer, they can't be allowed to go scot-free. There are 1 million, perhaps, killed Ukrainians. They were killed because they would not pursue negotiations. The Zelenskyy made it illegal in October 2022 to pursue peace negotiations. All those European leaders need to be brought to some kind of justice for the death toll in Ukraine, the numbers killed in Ukraine because they refused negotiations with Russia and indeed had their own process without Russia in Switzerland, bizarrely.
Yeah, of course, Trump can be assassinated. He almost was, struck on the ear, in fact. Funny we never hear anything about that case. Funny we don't know more about the kid that supposedly shot him and how he was able to get those shots away. But that's another matter. But it's much more likely that Zelenskyy will be assassinated. I mean, first of all, if you were in the Ukrainian power elite, you've now been told by President Trump and Vice President Vance that your leader is now effectively in a state of war with the only power on earth that has the means to do anything for Ukraine and to bring about any kind of end to this war that might save something for them. Vance says that Zelenskyy is going to regret bad-mouthing President Trump. And Trump says that Zelenskyy is a dictator. So if you were in the power circles in Ukraine, you might very well be saying, this guy is running out of road and we're going to have to change him. If I were Zelenskyy, I think I'd be on my way by the weekend, Afshin. I'm not sure even 2 weeks' notice has been given by the American leadership. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he actually was here in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, and then he went to Turkey. But what happens to American puppets once they've outlasted their use by an administration in Washington? What happened to Saddam Hussein? What has happened to Osama bin Laden? What has happened to all these people, Noriega in Panama? What happens to them when they outlive their usefulness? He's in a very dangerous position. Perhaps there were rumors that Russia was protecting him, as far as I understand it previously, because some type of continuity in Kiev was important, because clearly Zelenskyy is not popular at home. He's opposed by loads of forces ranged against him within this divided and destroyed what was once Europe's largest country, Ukraine. It's been such a catastrophe. And that's why I think it's odd there's no talk of some kind of post-war justice already, allowing the kind of space to allow the kind of virus of propaganda to prosper in your continent, in Europe, of send troops. And I know you've already gone through and debated this absurd idea of conscription in Britain and so forth. It looks like Europe will fold. There's now talk, unsubstantiated by, is it in the German Bild newspaper, of possibilities of American withdrawal of troops from their bases in Western Europe established after the Second World War, although some are saying the ones established since 1990. Europe is isolated. And certainly, I don't think European Secret Service agencies are going around protecting Zelenskyy. They don't care about Zelenskyy. They never have. I'm not sure what these elites ever really did care about, except serving Washington. And now they're just they're so disorientated. They don't know what to do. Although
Washington.
I noticed that your favorite foreign minister in Germany, whose name escapes me, who I've been talking about all day. I don't know why her name escapes me, but you pronounce her name so well. Baerbock has already done some kind of U-turn and said that the talks in Saudi Arabia were useful. I thought she said that Putin must be arrested and all the rest of it. Suddenly, so they will all twist around. It'll only be the particularly disorientated ones that won't realize, oh, we are vassal states. We have to take orders from Washington regardless of what they are. Take the order. Peace. Peace. Have peace. Do not have war. Stop.
I think they all will, Afshin. I think they all will, except the most disoriented one. And he happens, unluckily for you and me, to be our Prime Minister. It's difficult to see how he climbs back from his charge of the Light Brigade declaration. And by the way, I should point out, he has the absolute support of the Conservative opposition. Kemi Badenough has said so this evening. And if they're the two cheeks of the same ass, the bit in the middle, Ed Davey of the Liberal Democrats, they are all completely behind Keir Starmer's stand of sending 10,000 British soldiers,
and
marching them up.
And our newspapers, and our television channels, and our filmmaking studios, and our publishers, every aspect controlling the imaginations of the British public. So the polls showing they still support Zelenskyy, they hate Putin, all the rest of it. And I'm sure you're about to go on, Sir Keir Starmer is going to see Donald Trump next week, is it?
Yeah, I'd like to be a fly on the wall at that meeting. He's got to hope that he gets in. But the The truth is, or the dog that has not barked, the shoe that has not dropped, is little Nigel Farage. Farage, the fierce opponent of the government and of the Conservative opposition, is completely silent on whether 10,000 troops should be marched up the top of the hill and sent into the Valley of Death. What can that mean?
Why does Donald Trump like Nigel Farage? Not really sure. Presumably because Trump does believe that the European Union was at its heart anti-democratic, which it was, and therefore Brexit was so important. But Nigel Farage has showed himself to be an utter lickspittle of American hegemonic power, just like the rest of them. If you just search Nigel Farage Ukraine, you'll see him attacking Russia, attacking Putin, just like Ed Davey. I know your international audience won't want to know the name of some Liberal Party leader in the British Parliament, let alone the Conservative Party leader or Starmer. So, yeah, the Reform Party have as much of a problem as the rest of them. In fact, obviously, I've got to ask, is it only your party, the Workers' Party, GB, that is in line with the United States and what the United States wants for this world?
We are the pro-American flag bearers now. Lastly, as you've been talking about all afternoon,
are you not sick and George? Are you not sick and tired of the anti-Americanism in our country? And it's about time they realize the United States is going to be the greatest country in the world.
I've always loved America, from California to the New York Islands. I have always loved America. I've got American blood in my veins. But as you've been talking about Germany all afternoon, can I just ask for a sneak preview? What do you think is going to happen in the German elections?
Chancellor Scholz was very quick, wasn't he, ahead of Sunday's Bundestag elections to say Starmer's plan was ridiculous, quicker than Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, who looked as if she regretted appearing there, but then I guess the NATO Defense College is in Rome. It's difficult to see how Germany are going to react because of the vagaries of its own electoral system mean that we can't expect immediate action. They're as disoriented as the rest of them. I think the only thing that can really push the button on change in Germany, which we must remember has been horrifically hit in terms of the gap between rich and poor since the Biden CIA destruction of Nord Stream and the rise in inflation and energy prices. We've got to see that until those tens of thousands of American troops are withdrawn from German bases in Ramstein and Heidelberg and the rest, can Germany really act in any way that is independent of hegemonic power? It obviously can't. And for all our love of the United States, we must be very wary, and I know you are, and I actually was quite surprised of how much emphasis was given on our interview forthcoming on Going Underground with Ron Paul, who, as I said, was a pick for head of the Federal Reserve by Elon Musk. How worried someone like Ron Paul is, let alone the Sarawak Connect Alliance people contesting elections on Sunday, that for all the absence of a threat of imminent nuclear destruction and the death of all of us, how worried we all are about Gaza, about Palestine, and worried about possible wars on China and most imminently on Iran, because Iran has not followed up on its threat to retaliate for UK, US, EU armed bombing of Iran. They won't even admit that their president was assassinated in a helicopter. Is Iran really, has it got it what it takes right now? Because certainly Iran is the issue here. As for Western Europe, they wouldn't back, and Germany wouldn't back, presumably, the wars in the Middle East that may be erupting after the end of this conflict in Ukraine.
It's so complicated. We'll be cross-dressing 1 minute we're pro-American, the next minute we're anti-American, the next minute I'm appearing in your beautiful jacket. You are a superstar. Afshin Rattansi, host of Going Underground, must watch by everyone. Thanks for joining us on the mother of all talk shows.